all, lovely day, not raining, very nice change. I feel like it's rained for 3 months almost non-stop. There is some rain predicted tomorrow afternoon, but I'm here for a couple of nights. I've bought some water in Suffolk. I've decided to come back to Birchwood, but I've taken a long walk up to the head of the point in Birchwood Bay. Fortunately, I've got an electric barrow, so I guess about over half a mile walk, but with the electric barrow, it's press the button, walk. I've picked this swim because it's deep water. It's a long chuck because the water level's so high. I'm probably, I don't know, 15 yards back from where I'd normally be sitting. You can see where I'm divvied up here on the grass, and I'm normally sat down there on the sand. It's 18 rod lengths, which in old money is 72 yards. Yeah, 18 fours. And there's a crosswind, southwesterly, which is ideal. Air pressure incidentally is 1012. The wind is at the moment 14 rising to 16, dropping to about 6 or 7 tonight. There's a couple of things I want to show you when you're fishing at this sort of distance. Because of the wind being straight across the front of me from right to left, there'll be a tremendous tow into the bay. And if I was to spot groundbait out, it'll be everywhere, 50 yards away from where I want to be fishing. I've got 24 foot of water out there. So the only realistic way to get the bait out is cut a pole, Now I've got a few tricks. The most important thing when you're mixing up the ground bait for this sort of depth of water and that sort of distance you catapult it, is the size of the balls, but also the firmness of them, so they stay together. The most important ingredient that I use in my ground bait, above all when I want to make these balls stick together, is this Spillington's molasses. It's dry molasses. If I was to put a clump like that, you don't need much more than that, probably about this much. If I was to put that into the ground bait dry, I'd have clumps of it, and it's a lovely sweet additive. A lot of people use molasses to attract the bream anyway, so it's an easy option for me. But what I do is I put it in a before I mix any of the ground bait up, and I put some warm water on it, and then I'm going to use this water. Not sure if you can see, it's coloured up, broken up already. Boiled the kettle first, let it go off a little bit. So it's you wouldn't want to keep your fingers in it too long, but it's not boiling. It's a cup of tea, it'd be cold. Then I'll start adding, once that's soaked in, I'll then start adding my ingredients. So I'm going with a cruel approach, really. So Dean's tackling pattern. Honestly, trust me, it's a little shop, but he's got everything. His worms are absolutely spot on. Full range of sea fishing tackle. But from my perspective, stuff like this krill ground bait, 350 a kilo, it's really good quality stuff. So I'm going to put about half that in, because I'm going to put about 24 balls out today. I'm kind of hoping, because of the depth of the water I'm fishing in, I'm going to catch during the day and during the night, rather than it's been all through the night. So some of that in, some of my usual black crumb. Bottom's quite light here, so I'm not going to put a lot of that in, probably about a third of the bag of that in. So that's going in. I'm then going to put some 4mm trout pellet for the oil content in them. So there's probably, I'm going to stick about, I guess, about a third of that bag in at the moment. And yeah, right. Right, the krill pellets. So they're 4mm. Somebody with their dog off a lead decided to come along and eat half the bag before I had time to jump out and shoot it off, so pretty irritating. So I'm going to put quite a lot of that in. Then what I'm going to do is add to it this sticky mess, this molasses. You can see that it's staying in my fingers, but it smells lovely. So that's going to go in. Mix my ground bait up. I've got some more water. That's going to go in. This is a lengthy-ish process, and I kind of judge how much I'm putting in as I go along. You can see how it's starting to look. It's a bit soggy at the moment, but what happens is you leave it to stand for a while. Not only does the molasses make it sticky and make the balls nice and firm, stick together, it has a great smell and a great taste and scent trail. Now the next thing I'm going to add in is not a lot of it. Again, this little sweet corn is really good stuff. So I'm going to put some of the juice in from that. Don't want to waste it really, it all adds to it. And then I'm going to put, again, this is going to improve the scent trail with the water, because there's going to be a lot of tull out there today. I have to probably put my heavy swingers on my indicators to stop just riding up to the top. So you can see I've put about half a tin there, and then one of these cooler crushers. I crush it because I don't want a massive amount of food. I mean, it's still April, it's only just April. But with the cold temperatures we had last week, I think we had 3 frosts out of 7 days. And it has actually knocked the room temperature down. It's back down to 10.4, and it was 12.5. So that's going to affect the amount of fish eaten. So you can see how that's come out. That goes. You have to clean these off afterwards, because otherwise it goes rotten and rancid. So I'm going to mix all that up. This is the size of the balls that I'm going to be catapulting out. It's a bit of judgment. When the wings fish drop, balls that are going to. So a ball about that big, the maximum you're going to get is 14, 15 rod lengths. You want to get to 18 rod lengths with balls about that size. So what I'm going to do is mix up about 24, maybe 30 of these, which is it's worth the effort, and I'll get back to you and show you how far out I'm catapulting them, and whether you'll be able to see with this chop on the ball. I may just see my marker, but I'm going to mix these up and I'll get back to you. A bit, as you can see, I basically mixed up everything. I mixed up in the bucket and the balls. I've glazed them like I always do, let them dry out in the sun. It just keeps them together a little bit better. And the ground bait that I'm going to use in my feeders is going to be a completely different mix. You don't want the molasses in the ground bait in the feeder, because it will never come out. These balls are nice and hard. They're going to get down to the bottom 24 foot of water without breaking up. More importantly, they're going to go through the air to my marker float, which is, as I say, 18 rod lengths out, hopefully, and be fairly accurate. You have to compensate when you've got a crosswind like this. You sort of kind of have to aim 5 or 6, 7, 8 yards to the right when it's going from right to left like this, because the wind will move the balls of ground bait in the air, and you have to allow for that. You can't be dead eyeball accurate when you're doing this, but as long as you're near enough, and I always say near enough isn't good enough, but yeah, you've got to try and do your best in these conditions. Hopefully with this chop on the water and the depth of the efficiently during the day. So I'm going to get these balls out and then get back to you with my rigs as much as I can. I'm only going to fish 2 rods out there. I'm going to fish one close in because there's a few tench knock around this corner. I've had them in the past, and some big ones and all. So I've a couple of decent carp. So because this next to me is a whole dense wooded area without any swims in it. As you can see, I did cut a couple of swims a while back, but they are completely underwater. So a couple more. That's 28 balls I've actually put out. Every now and then the odd one, the wind catches it a bit and moves it a bit. You can see it blowing a bit harder. That was right on the money. That was right where my marker float was, so a good one for the last one. So I'm going to get my gear sorted out and show you my rigs in a sec, okay? My Tench rig, I've gone with my normal size feeder, 45 grams I think that is, that's about over an inch. It's enough to set them up, giving them a bit of free movement so that they can pick them up. feeling any resistance, they get side on, hit the weight of the feeder. I've gone with a bait that has worked for me as early as the 9th and 10th of February. I had my first Tench over here, which was a bit of a surprise, but it came on a bit of real sweet cod and a dendrobina with the end just nipped off on the size 8 dren and barbel. That's going to go quite closely just off the end of those trees there. I've caught Tench there before. It's about seven and a bit of water there. Might be a little bit more now because the water level's so high. With my bream rigs, these are, I've put these feeders on because they work much better with this crosswind. With the round ones, they tend to spin a little bit and they'll move off track quite easily when you've got the wind, whereas these, they're in line for one thing. They're heavy. I mean, that's 80 grams, so that's a lot of weight. Makes the casting easier. Again, as always, the bead halfway down the hook length will go in the bottom of the feeder like that, so everything's nice and tight. The other thing about these is being a flat bottom, so they sit tight. It's a bit like an egg box out there. You know, I move 10 foot to one side and it's 23 foot, then it's 23.5 foot, it's 24 foot, and it's like that all across the bottom and go in all directions. So the last thing I want to do is cast my feeder out, and the round ones will roll, and sometimes if they roll towards you, you end up with a slack line, and at 2 o'clock in the morning you might not notice that you've got a slack line, or it might appear like a slack line bite where the fish just touches the hook length. The fish dislodges the feeder, and it's fine if it's going away from the fish because it could potentially hook it, but if it's not and it's coming towards you, potentially it'll look like a line bite. You end up winding in, recasting for nothing. These sit nice and firm. The other thing as well, the bit I've picked out there is quite soft on the bottom. It's soft enough, I mean a 3-ounce lead would sink probably 6 inches into it. These will sit, they won't bury, the feed will still be there, but they'll sit just into the silt a little bit, which makes the fish root around a little bit. And what you want to do is be able to create competition for food. So both my rigs are exactly the same as this. I've gone with a size 7 dren and barbel hook, a bit bigger because of the distance I'm fishing. I want to know that I'm going to get a good hook hold. I've gone with a bit of fake plastic pink corn, krill pellet as always. I don't know if you can see if I hold that up. Again, it's got the shrink wrap around it to stop it dissolving in the water temperatures, and a little dendrobina. Both rigs are exactly the same. I'm going to get my gear out. One thing I will show you is the ground bait, where it's different from the main mix. It's quite soft. I want it to be able to, the feeders hit the bottom and the ground bait to puff out really quickly. Also the Tench ground bait that I'm using is primarily, well, there's no ground bait. I say ground bait, it's not. It's some krill pellet, a lot of hemp, a lot of crushed sweet corn, as you can see, and some high oil trout pellet. And I'm going to just catapult this out. Literally, I'm only just going to be fishing this chop up, maybe 15 yards out maximum. So, the wind's blowing straight in my face. You never know. I might have to spot it out. Spotting it 15 yards. I'm going to get my rods out. And I'll get back to you as and when, and if I get something, hopefully I'll get something in daylight. Cheers. So, didn't even have time for the kettle to boil. Sitting for 18 hours, don't get a bite, and then 3 in a couple of minutes. Another male, half reasonable fish. Happy with that. Well, definitely going to get the kettle on this time. There we go. How's that for timing? Put the video on.
The first fish of the night. Kettle's on. I'm going to have to try and turn that off. Feels like a decent fish. I think it's massive, but pull him back a bit. Just go around the side of that tree. Caught in the edge of that tree, it's out now though. Oh, there we go. Happy days. Let's get a run hooked. First female session. Not a massive fish. But all scary like the other ones. So, to start, I guess about 6.5, 7 pounds. Let's get her back. We've got a bigger one. Picked my other rod up with it. Obviously not a bream, as you can see. Everything with it. Right. That's going to take some untangling. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was actually just going to have my last cup of coffee before packing up. And then, oh God, this beautiful creature came to the net. Absolutely beautiful. I put up a scrap, try to go in, and here's the other side of a absolutely lovely fish. Not seen this one before, not that I recall anyway. Maybe when it was a bit smaller. I hope you can get that. Oh, I want to get it back.